I'm sure it's wonderful, darling. It only sounds shitty.
Yeah, thanks.
Could I play?
Meghan.
Meghan Markle.
Sure, you can play.
Great!
Game on, America!
Okay, well, you don't get paid for that.
I don't care. Don't care.
On Suits, I was a series regular. I was Rachel Zane, attorney at law.
What the hell?
What did he just say? He victimized me. It's because I'm an ethnic woman.
Okay, well, I actually didn't do anything, but I'm glad you have a job.
He can't do that. I'll see. Wait, you're ethnic? This is an outrage. We'll just see how he deals with my blue pants.
Yeah, well, it's technically not a job. Don't know where you heard that.
Don't worry, my love. He's not gonna get away with this.
Would you ever consider joining the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills?
Are you serious?
The yacht rumors were supposed to die in the shadows, an internet whisper, a Reddit rabbit hole, a taboo no one in mainstream media would dare animate until now. Because when those new South Park storyboard frames surfaced, unmarked, unaired, and unreal, everything changed. No Comedy Central logo, no episode title, just 5 watermarked images that appeared on a niche animation subreddit late Tuesday night.
We got your survey answers, and I think we've put together some great ideas for your brand.
At first, they seemed like a hoax, but the moment people zoomed in and saw it, the wide-brimmed brunette cartoon icon sipping pink rosé on the deck of an impossibly luxe megayacht, while a red-headed prince clumsily swam behind her clutching a crying baby-shaped float labeled Public Sympathy, Reddit went feral. By sunrise, the images were plastered across TikTok, X, Tumblr, Instagram stories, and even international tabloids. And just like that, the yacht girl lore, officially canon.
I understand you want people to like you more and think you're cool.
The post was instantly removed, accounts were locked, but the damage was done. South Park had taken what the Sussexes always feared most, those swirling yacht allegations that haunted forums and blind items for years, and animated them with all the subtlety of a sledgehammer. Within hours, fan accounts were dissecting every frame. Meghan, clearly the stand-in, again not named but unmistakably styled, was drawn surrounded by assistants fanning her with scrolls labeled NDAs. She reclines on a chaise made of press clippings. Her rosé bottle reads, as ever, vintage deflection.
Doesn't history pretty much suck? I mean, the Crusades, Hitler, Prince Harry marrying Meghan Markle. Again? Oh, like all of your wives are so much better.
In one frame, she's holding up a contract that reads, New Life, Who Dis, while the prince gets sunscreen squirted in his eye by a drone labeled Daily Mail. Even users who'd rolled their eyes at the original Worldwide Privacy Tour episode now admitted it. This was brutal, and it was bigger than a joke. Because the one thing South Park does better than satire? Symbolism. And by choosing to depict Meghan, an actual royal family defector on a fantasy yacht floating above a sea of flashing cameras and broken branding deals, they didn't just resurrect the rumor, they crystallized it into pop culture legend.
It's so nice to have you back in London, Meghan. I've missed our little lunches.
We've never had lunch together, Kate.
Well, we must continue the tradition.
The irony? Meghan's team had spent years trying to scrub the term yacht girl from search suggestions, allegedly commissioning digital audits, hiring online reputation firms, and even threatening legal action against forums that discussed it too openly. And now, this? An Emmy-winning cartoon just broadcasted it to the world in storyboard form before the episode even aired. Multiple former animation staffers have since weighed in anonymously, confirming the leak's authenticity. According to one ex-Comedy Central employee, this was part of the episode's cold open, a flashback fantasy scene that sets up the Duchess's obsession with reinvention, and the internet ate it up. Even the phrase yacht girl trended for 8 straight hours, something that hasn't happened since the early days of the Sussex breakup with the Crown. But this wasn't just a leak, this was a loaded missile. And as Archwell scrambled to assemble its crisis team, what insiders claim happened next made things even messier, because the couple didn't call PR first, they allegedly called their lawyers, and that's when the gloves came off.
And you know what else? To hell with Canada! We are leaving! We'll go find some quiet place where we can be normal people! Come on, wife!
The moment that leak hit critical velocity, Archwell went into meltdown. Not the usual red-level media containment protocol. This was worse. According to one insider, the call came in at 2:46 in the morning, Montecito time. A staffer was yanked out of bed with one message: activate black status. She's seen it. She being Meghan. And what she'd seen was the cartoon. Within 20 minutes, the estate's internal Slack channels lit up. Legal, PR, brand partnerships, digital teams, all summoned into an emergency Zoom. Meghan allegedly refused to appear on camera, opting instead for audio only. But her voice, sources claim, was ice, calm. deliberate, surgical. No press statements, no Instagram stories. I want cease and desists. I want takedowns. I want the Reddit user found.
Oh, you hilarious, Meghan.
Why did you move back here anyway? It was ultimately a tough call, but there were a lot of factors to consider.
This wasn't about offense, it was pure defense. The team debated a dozen options. Could they lean into sympathy? Frame it as another example of misogynistic media mockery? Could Meghan pen a heartfelt op-ed about the trauma of being parodied for profit? But every angle came with risks, especially now. Because South Park hadn't just mocked them, they'd done it in a way that blurred parody with insinuation. That yacht scene wasn't just funny, it was surgical. It tapped the exact narrative Meghan's team has spent years trying to bury. And worse, it made it cartoon viral. Behind the scenes, Archwell's attorney roster was expanded overnight. Sources say a high-powered entertainment litigator from New York joined the team within hours, while a UK-based defamation expert was placed on standby. The firm reportedly fired off a dozen legal inquiries by midday, targeting platform hosts, image aggregators, and even meme pages that dared to splice the frames with real yacht photos from Meghan's pre-royal past. But the internet doesn't forget, and it doesn't forgive overreach.
It has been several months now since our beloved queen has died. Our Canadians are finding it hard to go on. All Canadians, that is, except for our first guest, the prince and his wife.
By the time Meghan's legal team issued their first takedown request, screenshots of the cartoon were archived in more than 20 separate Telegram groups, Reddit threads, and Google Drives. The Streisand effect was now in full swing. Meanwhile, Harry? He didn't join the Zoom. According to two separate insiders, he disappeared into the garden sometime after 3 a.m. and didn't reappear until nearly noon. His phone normally buzzing with calls from his therapist, his charity liaisons, even the occasional cousin remained silent. No texts, no calls. Staffers reportedly found him seated near the chicken coop, staring out across the vineyard. One source described it as eerily quiet, like he was just trying to breathe through the noise. Because while Meghan snapped into litigation mode, Harry froze. This wasn't like the Oprah interview fallout. It wasn't Spotify. It wasn't even the Vanity Fair ghostwriter incident. This was cartoon canon.
What the hell?
What'd he just say? He victimized me. It's because I'm an ethnic woman.
He can't do that. I'll see. Wait, you're ethnic? This is an outrage. We'll just see how he deals with my blue.
And deep down, Harry knew, once South Park draws you twice, you're not a misunderstood figure anymore. You're a running joke. And even worse, this time, he didn't get a punchline, just a floaty and a tear. But the worst PR ripple hadn't even surfaced yet, because brands were already watching. The entertainment industry isn't sentimental, it's strategic. And when the South Park yacht frames went viral, you could practically hear the brakes screeching across Hollywood boardrooms. By the time Meghan's lawyers were firing off takedowns, industry execs were already in meetings, not about damage control for themselves, about distance. According to one senior producer at a rival streamer, at least 2 of Meghan's in-development deals were immediately flagged as volatile. One was a lifestyle docuseries, allegedly tied to her As Ever brand, pitched as a meditation on wellness, resilience, and rebranding. The other, a rom-com-style scripted series, pitched with heavy autobiographical flavor. Now, both are frozen.
There were highs and lows. It's all good. Anyway, see you guys at tea. Come on, Harry.
One executive reportedly described the situation as a reputational sinkhole. Another, more bluntly, no one wants to launch a show that's going to get memed before the trailer even drops. The rosé collaboration was next. Meghan's As Ever wine line had already faced whispers of private labeling and slap-on branding, but the South Park leak pushed it over the edge. One upscale distributor, who'd signed on for limited release at boutique California venues, quietly hit pause.
How many more princes and his wives have to live in this nightmare?
According to sources close to the deal, they cited concerns about brand ambiguity and satirical volatility. In other words, if the product becomes the punchline, the wine doesn't pour, and the ripple didn't stop at distributors. 2 wellness influencers, one in Australia, one in Canada, allegedly backed out of pre-scheduled As Ever campaigns, citing uncertain optics in the wake of the cartoon. Another, known for her feminist branding, reportedly told her agent, "I can't promote rosé to trauma survivors," the same week South Park turns Meghan into a floating meme. Ouch. Meanwhile, podcast studios have gone radio silent. After Spotify pulled the plug last year, Meghan's team had been shopping a reboot, a more intimate, vulnerable, unfiltered show. But now, multiple insiders claim the big fish. Amazon, Apple, iHeart have gone cold. One rep was overheard calling the pitch PR poison with a mic. Even Publicists are bailing. One major celebrity branding firm, previously linked to Archwell campaigns, reportedly declined to renew their contract. Their reason? Satirical fatigue. They didn't say the couple was problematic. They said they were punchlines, and that's worse, because in Hollywood, being controversial can be monetized. But being laughed at, being seen as unserious, that's the kiss of death.
We can be the people we talked about being, with no more worries about how we look or the image we project to people. What matters is what we have on the inside.
One agent reportedly told a Netflix staffer, "You can't outbrand parody. You can't reset if they've turned you into a trope." And Meghan's trope, now cemented in cartoon form, isn't aspirational anymore. It's theatrical. It's a bottle of rosé on a floating throne surrounded by NDAs and hashtags. And Harry's, well, he's just the guy trying to climb aboard. But while LA may have turned chilly, across the Atlantic, the silence was even colder, because over in the UK, the palace said absolutely nothing, except maybe a smirk. No statements, no press leaks, not a single word from the palace. But if silence could talk, this one was lethal. As Meghan and Harry scrambled in Montecito, the royal machine across the pond barely blinked. There were no sources close to the king, no polite distancing from the chaos, no sympathetic commentary to cushion the blow, just nothing. And that nothing, it spoke volumes.
This might be the smallest palace I've ever been in.
According to royal correspondence, Kensington Palace was immediately made aware of the South Park leak. One staffer allegedly spotted the Yacht cartoon the same morning it went viral and shared it in a WhatsApp group titled Ice and Spare. The group's response? Cry-laugh emojis. No strategy, no alarm, just confirmation. The Sussexes were now pop culture fodder. But the real headline wasn't the silence. It was the smirk. Prince William, stoic, unflinching, famously tight-lipped, was attending a youth mental health summit the day after the cartoon frames exploded. Cameras flashed, reporters swarmed, and then came the question. A bold journalist asked, "Have you seen the South Park leak, sir?" William didn't answer. He didn't need to. He paused, slightly tilted his head, and just for a second his mouth twitched. Not a laugh, not even a grin, just the faintest curve. But to royal watchers, it was a seismic gesture, because William rarely reacts, especially not in public, especially not when it concerns them. And yet here he was, offering the world the royal equivalent of a mic drop. Insiders say the smirk wasn't just personal, it was strategic, a quiet signal that the palace had made its choice. They would not intervene, not to defend, not to contextualize, not to validate the Sussexes' claim of victimhood. They were done, and that level of calculated indifference, that's where it really hurts. Because despite all the interviews, the books, the podcasts, somewhere deep down, Harry still hoped for a line of communication, a whisper of support, a private "we understand," even if the public couldn't say it aloud. Instead, what he got was the sound of doors closing.
Yeah, we're hoping the ketchups and mustards are going to be sold at Whole Foods, which, would be huge. Oh, and they're all organic in case anyone was wondering.
We weren't.
One former aide claims the staff's internal mood was vindicated amusement, that after years of being branded racists, liars, and manipulators in media segments and best-selling memoirs, the team felt like karma had finally made its royal entrance, wearing a cartoon crown and floating in a rosé-filled yacht. And let's be honest, this wasn't just about Harry. For Meghan, the silence was even more brutal, because while the firm may have expected pushback from Harry, they never truly accepted Meghan as one of their own. She wasn't just cast out, she was never fully in. So now, with South Park dragging her past into parody and public sentiment flipping from oppressed duchess to media operator, the royal family didn't need to lift a finger. The culture was doing the job for them, and just when it seemed like the damage might be contained, like maybe the wave would crest and break quietly, something unexpected happened. The internet remembered where the yacht rumors really began. And suddenly, it wasn't just about satire anymore. It was about receipts. It didn't start on South Park, and it definitely didn't start on TikTok. No, the yacht whispers go back over a decade to dusty WordPress blogs, cryptic blind items, and gossip forums that lived in the shadows of mainstream celebrity media.
Hi, I'm Meghan Markle.
And I'm Harry. Harry.
And we're royally screwed.
Back then, before royal titles and rosé branding, Meghan Markle was best known as Rachel Zane from Suits, a rising actress, stylish, polished, always photographed at the right events, and occasionally, according to internet sleuths, spotted in places she couldn't publicly explain. A super yacht docked off the coast of Ibiza, a high-profile party in Mykonos, Dubai, Cannes, Sardinia, all locations linked in now-deleted posts that alleged a network of social introductions between young actresses and elite billionaires. The claims were vague. Photos, if any, were blurry. Most of it would have stayed in conspiracy land, if not for a few details that kept reappearing. The same yacht name, the same hostess agency, the same overlapping timelines, and Meghan's name popped up again and again, sometimes in initials, sometimes in full. It wasn't just men's forums. The gossip found its way into the comment sections of Daily Mail articles, into Domois-style rumor accounts before Domois even existed. Some claimed she was well-positioned in elite circles before meeting Harry. Others said her publicist at the time facilitated travel with discretion. None of it was ever proven. Meghan has never addressed it publicly, and yet the rumor refused to die. Why? Because it didn't behave like a normal celebrity slander. It never exploded. It just lingered, a shadow following her rebrand from actress to activist, from red carpets to palace gates. And when the Oprah interview aired, the whispers got louder. When the Spotify deal collapsed, they surged again, but nothing compared to what happened once South Park animated it.
We just want to be normal people. All this attention is so hard. Isn't it true, sir, that your questionable wife has her own TV show and hangs out with celebrities and does fashion magazines?
See, satire is powerful because it doesn't need proof. It just needs recognition. When the cartoon frames showed a woman who looked exactly like Meghan lounging on a yacht, labeled Image Rehab Retreat, with NDAs blowing in the wind and dollar bills swirling like confetti, it didn't invent a narrative, it confirmed one, at least in the minds of those who had been connecting dots for years. And suddenly, all those old blog posts got dug back up, screenshots from defunct forums, archive links from sites long gone, photo comparisons, flight logs, even podcast clips where guests alluded to a certain duchess who used to frequent the Mediterranean circuit. TikTok did what TikTok does. It turned gossip into visual theory. Side-by-side clips, blurred photos overlaid with voiceovers, explainers about yacht culture, private jet overlaps, party circuits. The hashtag yacht allegations crossed 2 million views in 48 hours. Of course, none of this proves anything, but in today's media landscape, truth is often less powerful than momentum, and when that momentum gets wrapped in satire, sealed with Emmy-winning writing and broadcast to millions, perception becomes legend, which is why Meghan's team didn't just fear the animation, they feared what it would reactivate. And as Meghan scrambled to reseal Pandora's box, Harry started slipping into something darker, because even if he didn't understand where the yacht rumors began, he could feel exactly where they were going. While Meghan assembled lawyers and PR reinforcements like chess pieces on a battlefield, Harry was nowhere to be found. Not in the strategy calls, not in the press briefings, not even in the kitchen that morning, according to staff. He had vanished.
And please stop sending me samples.
I hear you, Andy. I'll amp it up. I'll smash a wine glass. I'll tell Kyle she has Munchausen syndrome. I'll accuse Dorit of doing coke.
Sources close to the couple say Harry spent most of that week in what they now call retreat mode, a familiar pattern when public chaos strikes. He retreats physically, emotionally, and digitally, turns his phone off, cancels appointments, blocks out news alerts, but this time insiders say it hit different, because it wasn't a headline, it wasn't a scandal he could deny or deflect. This was cartoon humiliation, and worse, he wasn't the lead, he was the punchline. Staff allegedly found him pacing the long gravel path that loops around their Montecito property, barefoot, hoodie up, muttering under his breath. One former aide claimed he looked less furious, more lost, like he was grieving something but couldn't name what. It wasn't just about being mocked. He's dealt with that before. Tabloids, late-night hosts, even British politicians have taken their shots. But this was spiritual, a floaty labeled validation, a cartoon therapist holding up flashcards that read, "Mommy issues," a framed rejection letter from Netflix in the background of one scene. It was layered, personal, cutting in a way only satire dares to be, and Harry knew exactly what it meant. That every PR attempt, every podcast pivot, every memoir excerpt had been reduced to a single image of him chasing clout in the shadow of a rosé-sipping wife. Insiders say he stopped taking calls from his American therapist, stopped responding to texts from army friends, even ignored a voicemail from Elton John, one of the few celebrity allies who stood by him through thick and thin. And the tension with Meghan, reportedly boiling. She wanted full-force legal retaliation, total suppression, a tactical reset. He wanted it all to stop. He just wanted silence, one insider claimed. He didn't want to sue a cartoon. He didn't want to dig up Reddit users. He wanted to disappear for a while, maybe even go back to London for a bit. But that wasn't an option, because for Meghan, this wasn't just satire, it was sabotage, and she wasn't about to let it go unanswered.
Thanks. Okay, see you later. Oh, would you pick up some milk?
She allegedly accused Harry of checking out at the worst possible moment, of making himself small instead of defending their brand. And that word brand was reportedly the final straw. Sources say Harry snapped, yelling something about never signing up for this circus, before locking himself in their guest house overnight. No security, no calls, just Harry, a bottle of whiskey, and the sound of the ocean crashing against the cliffs. Because no matter how many times they say they left the firm, the world keeps treating them like they're still in the show. And now the show had animated them into legends without mercy. But as Harry unraveled behind the scenes, the men who created this entire storm, they were just getting started. While Montecito flailed and Hollywood ghosted, the masterminds behind the chaos, they were thriving. Trey Parker and Matt Stone, the irreverent duo who built South Park into a cultural wrecking ball, took the stage at the San Diego Creators Forum, looking smug. That kind of smug that only comes when you know you've hit a nerve so deep it's echoing through every media boardroom and royal briefing halfway across the world. They didn't mention Meghan or Harry by name. They didn't need to, because when one moderator asked, "How do you deal with lawsuits or threats from powerful people when you parody real-world figures?" Trey just smiled and said, "We frame the legal notices now. They're our new fan mail." The room exploded. Matt chimed in with a wink. The trick is to hit where the PR team panics first. That's how you know it landed. And then came the kicker. They teased that the full episode, yes, the one tied to the leaked yacht frames, was finished. Not in development, not in concept, done. And according to their cryptic hints, the version that leaked was the mild cut. Trey said, if that little rosé joke got them scrambling, they're not ready for the ending. People were stunned. Laughter, gasps, a few jaws literally dropped, because the leak was already savage. A yacht, NDAs flying in the wind, a prince clinging to a bottle labeled relevance.
If it's truly what we want, then we really can get away from it all. No more magazines and Netflix shows. We really can live a normal life. Yes, I'm sure you agree, darling.
What else could possibly be coming? One rumor suggests there's a courtroom scene where the Duchess tries to sue a cartoon character for defamation, only for the judge to reveal he's also animated. Another alleged storyboard frame shows Harry trying to trademark the phrase misunderstood millionaire, while a parody of Oprah nods blankly in the background holding cue cards. And if that sounds brutal, it probably is, because this isn't just entertainment for Parker and Stone. It's blood sport. They've always attacked hypocrisy, manipulation, and image building. And in Meghan's case, they clearly saw an irresistible target, someone who weaponized victimhood, sold trauma like merchandise, and expected media adoration without critique. As Matt put it bluntly on stage, when your brand depends on never being laughed at, that's exactly when we show up. Even more chilling, they claim to have held additional footage back. There's stuff we animated that we might drop after the episode airs, Trey teased. Let's just say, some of it didn't even make the legal review. We're keeping it in the vault for now. Translation, the cartoon Meghan saga might not even be finished. And if the first leak cracked the armor, the full broadcast might shatter it. Because South Park doesn't just lampoon people, it labels them. And once that label sticks, when the culture absorbs it, memes it, spreads it, it becomes reality.
We couldn't get jobs and we ran out of money. We ate chicken out of bowls and rode in big cars full of smelly people to something called work. Every day was a new nightmare.
But before the episode could even air, the internet took matters into its own hands, because if Parker and Stone drew the cartoon, the meme makers were about to turn it into a movement. The internet didn't wait. It never does. Within 12 hours of the yacht leak, the meme factory was in full swing. South Park may have lit the match, but TikTok threw it into a pool of gasoline, lit up with hashtags, transitions, deep dives, and voiceover duets that turned a handful of storyboard frames into an entire cinematic universe. The creativity was almost too fast to track. One user mashed the leaked Meghan cartoon with real-life photos from a luxury yacht docked off Sardinia in 2014, framing it like a missing scene from a prestige documentary. Another layered Harry's floaty clip over moody Lana Del Rey audio with the caption, "Public sympathy declined," and the hashtags? Brutal. Royal floaties. A sever at sea. Victim card declined. Yacht saga. Even a short-lived trend titled NDAs and Rosé exploded into a wave of satire reels that paired Meghan's old speeches with yacht imagery and cartoon clips. One creator edited a fake trailer, The Duchess Diaries, from Deckhand to Disruptor, complete with voiceover, dramatic strings, and a parody Oprah intro. It hit 3 million views in 2 days. But it wasn't just Gen Z poking fun. Long-form creators jumped in too. YouTubers with millions of subscribers posted 20-minute exposés titled things like The Yacht Theory Now in Animation, and Why Meghan Markle Just Lost the Culture War.
Why are we so mad today?
Because we want our privacy.
These weren't tossed-off reactions, they were edited like Netflix documentaries, with timestamps, screenshots, and side-by-side breakdowns of how the satire paralleled real rumors. And they were relentless, because South Park gave them something the internet loves, plausible deniability in parody form. You're not saying the yacht rumors are real, you're just commenting on the fact that a major animated show thought they were culturally resonant enough to draw. That's the loophole, and it gave millions of people license to laugh. Even fanfiction writers got involved. A subreddit popped up overnight called Yacht Lore Expanded Universe, where people imagined alternate endings to the South Park episode, speculated on future cartoon cameos, and even wrote dialogue for animated King Charles shaking his head as Meghan's yacht sails by Buckingham Palace. It sounds unhinged, but this is how reputations collapse in the digital age, not with a headline, but with a hashtag and a remix. And Meghan's defenders, they tried. The tag misogyny at sea trended briefly, an attempt to reframe the South Park treatment as a sexist smear. Influencer allies posted sleek, minimalist statements about respecting women's journeys and refusing to amplify harmful satire, but it fell flat. Because once parody gets meme momentum, resistance just becomes more content. Even attempts to defend her were remixed into sarcasm. One clip of a wellness influencer defending Meghan was edited with yacht horn sound effects and South Park-style animation. Brutal. Unfair? Maybe, but viral culture isn't about fairness. It's about friction. And as the memes kept multiplying, brands started looking at more than public statements. They looked at engagement, and what they saw next terrified them.
Hey, thanks for having us on the show. It's so awesome to be here. It's great.
Behind the scenes, the numbers started shifting, not in Meghan's favor. Brand managers, analysts, investors, they weren't reacting to South Park emotionally. They were reacting like calculators with teeth. The second the yacht frames detonated, companies started pulling dashboards, scanning sentiment scores, and running predictive models. And what they found? A sharp, sudden nosedive. Search volume for Meghan yacht rumors spiked by over 400%. Branded engagement on her wine, podcast, and wellness initiatives down 37% in less than 72 hours. Mentions of as ever were outpaced online by jokes about rosé and NDAs. But the real dagger came from the donors. According to two insiders familiar with Archwell's fundraising efforts, several high-level contributors requested amendments to their support contracts, what they called distance clauses, essentially legal language that gave them permission to suspend future funding if Meghan or Harry became culturally unviable. Let that sink in. Not politically controversial, not legally compromised, just mocked too hard. That's the new red flag. One donor reportedly told a contact, "We can't attach ourselves to something that's becoming satirical shorthand for insincerity." And then came Netflix, the crown jewel of the Sussexes media pivot. Once $100 million handshake has gone oddly quiet. No promotion of old Archwell content. No push for the documentary series. No teasers for new projects.
What happened to your ring?
I gave it to the working people.
We're the working people.
And according to one streaming insider, Meghan's latest pitch, a hybrid docudrama about rebranding through adversity, was recently soft-passed with no follow-up meeting scheduled. Translation? They're done picking up the phone. Meanwhile, luxury retailers that had stocked Meghan's as-ever products, including her wine line, are reportedly re-evaluating shelf visibility. One European buyer allegedly described it as brand erosion in real time. Another, people don't want satire in a gift basket. And podcast networks don't even ask. Meghan's second audio comeback was supposed to be big. She'd met with talent agencies, scoped producers, and prepped episodes focused on resilience, grief, and identity. But now, the proposal is sitting in limbo. One exec admitted, the Meghan brand has gone from misunderstood to unmarketable. People aren't tuning in to listen. They're tuning in to look for contradictions. Even her speaking engagements have taken a hit. Event planners, according to leaked correspondence, are skittish about audience backlash and social media optics. One Fortune 500 conference that had verbally confirmed her keynote now claims they're reassessing cultural alignment. Translation, too much drama, not enough dignity. And this is the nightmare scenario Meghan's team always feared. Because it's not just bad press, it's economic erosion, reputation attrition. A single cartoon gag ricocheted into a 7-figure fallout. And that's before the episode even airs. So now insiders say the Sussexes are scrambling. Meetings have shifted from growth to survival, from expanding the brand to keeping the lights on. Because at this rate, one more cultural gut punch might not just bruise the image, it could break the whole business. And the moment they were dreading most was officially on the calendar.
I'm sorry, I'm just really stressed. We're completely out of money.
Maybe it's time we dip into your fortune from Suits.
There is no fortune from Suits.
The episode has a title now, a locked air date, a promo drop just days away. No more rumors, no more leaks. It's real. South Park isn't backing down, they're doubling down. And the internet? Counting the hours. Industry insiders say Comedy Central has cleared a prime slot for the broadcast, complete with post-episode panel coverage and exclusive bonus material, rumored to include unused storyboard segments, the same ones that already had Meghan's lawyers on edge. But here's the thing, this isn't just a show anymore. It's a cultural referendum. Because after all the interviews, the documentaries, the Spotify drama, the memoirs, and the merch drops, this is where it's all led. A single half-hour of animation that could do more to define Meghan and Harry's public legacy than any of the content they've created themselves. And why? Because it's not about facts anymore. It's about feeling. South Park caught the shift, the fatigue, the disconnect between message and moment. And by translating it into absurd, brutal, unforgettable imagery, they captured something the media couldn't quantify until now. Mockery has mass, and once you become a cartoon, especially twice, the public starts seeing you as less real and more concept. Victim turned brand turned parody. That's the trajectory critics say the Sussex narrative has taken.
Anyway, Meghan, you were saying Dorit's such a what?
What? No, No, I didn't say anything. I didn't say anything, Dorit.
Well, I heard it somewhere.
And this episode might cement it for good. Even sympathetic voices in the press are uneasy. A few Meghan-friendly op-eds have already popped up, warning about the weaponization of satire and asking whether parody has gone too far. But it's not landing, because the public isn't rallying around Meghan. They're entertained. That's the most damning twist. The comments aren't sympathetic, they're gleeful. Viewers are already placing bets on what jokes will make it into the final cut. Cartoon Harry's floaty, the courtroom fantasy, Meghan's yacht-themed music video parody, one popular prediction, a fictional awards show called The Wokies, where cartoon Meghan accepts a trophy for lifetime achievement in brand reinvention, only to be interrupted by her own cartoon therapist holding a mirror. Savage. And if you think that's far-fetched, remember South Park once depicted Tom Cruise trapped in a literal closet. No metaphor is off limits. Which brings us to the legacy question. Once this airs, there is no going back. No heartfelt docuseries can soften this blow. No rebrand will wipe these frames from pop culture memory. Meghan won't just have a reputation, she'll have an animated avatar. And Harry? Sources say he's already warned friends to avoid watching it, not because it's inaccurate, but because it's too accurate in its tone. It hurts because it's not just satire, it feels true. And now, the couple must face the only verdict that matters. Not from courts, not from tabloids, but from viewers, from culture, from meme history. Drop your thoughts below. Do you think the Sussexes can recover from this cartoon saga, or has satire done what scandal couldn't? Like, subscribe, and stay tuned. The next video on your screen is waiting. And trust me, you won't believe what's coming next.